Hello guys, today I'd like to talk to you about a model that I made quite a while ago. That's this, which is the Traction Cottage. Now this was built for the 2017 Asylum, so it was built 3 years ago. It's now, well, by the time this video is up it'll be June 2020. So this is 3 years after nearly 3 years after this was presented at the Great Exhibition. Now, why it's taken me so long to get around to doing this video is because during the 2017 Great Exhibition, the lighting, which you can see this building's lit from internally, the lighting failed during the Great Exhibition, and it has basically taken me 3 years to get around to fixing it. So now that it is fixed, I am going to talk you through how I made it. So first of all, I'm just going to read out this little card here, which was the description, the 100-word description for the Great Exhibition. So the piece was called Model of a Traction Cottage, and the description was, traction cottages were the brainchild of gentleman explorer Richard Brunskill. The concept was for mobile living accommodation that would allow the comfortable exploration of Central Africa. They were put into production in 1877, with some 24 traction cottages being shipped to Africa and India. Unfortunately, their immense weight, unreliability and gargantuan coal consumption made them entirely unsuitable for exploration. They enjoyed a brief vogue as mobile shooting towers for the upper classes before manufacture of them ceased in 1879. This model is based upon the single surviving example which remains beached in the Kent marshes. So that is the description that I put with this piece in the Great Exhibition in 2017. So I'm now going to swap the camera around and we can have a bit of a close-up look at it. Right, so this is the model. And if I can just rotate it as much as I can without the wire, you can see it's detailed on all sides. So the model began life as, this tracked part down the bottom here was a kit for a 1/32 scale armoured personnel carrier. I'm not quite sure which type because I bought it incomplete and already partially assembled. So then the majority of the rest of it is 1/72/1/76 scale, essentially double O gauge model railway building elements. Some of you who move in model railway circles may even recognise some of the parts on this. But the majority of this structure is cardboard covered with a printed brick paper. The windows are a printed acetate film. And then there are plastic elements of various types in use in it as well. Now the lighting in this is warm white LEDs, and they were desoldered from LED strip, and that was purely to try and get LEDs that were small enough to fit inside the model without being visible. Because if you actually start to look in, you can see that these rooms have interiors. So that one there just has a bed in it. If you look through there, through the conservatory, you can see there's plants in the conservatory. You should also be able to see that the room beyond has a fireplace and a couple of chairs, and there is actually a person sat in that chair. Then up at the front here we have a control deck with some levers. So they are model railway ground frame signal levers, but here they're obviously in use as control levers. And then we have a ship's wheel, which is made out of watch components. Big searchlight. Those two windows don't have any interiors inside. And then in the bottom here, we'll have to shine a light in here to actually see, we've got a stoker, and we also have a big boiler. So the boiler cover was actually, the boiler door was actually made from the hatch cover from the armoured personnel carrier. and then the figure is just a model railway figure. There's a bit of real coal in there, and you can see some equipment hung on the walls, and again brick walls inside there. And going around the other side you can see there's a coal bunker and some coal. Then moving round to the other side, we've got a big hanging bay with all strapping underneath it to hold it on, and inside there you can see there's a room with a dining table. And up the top here we have the map room, with a table with some maps and some bookshelves. Another figure up on the driving balcony. And if we'll also just lift the roof off, because this is where I can explain to you the issues that I had with the electrics. So this glue patch here used to have a battery holder on it for 2 AAA batteries which ran the lights during the Great Exhibition in 2017. Now the batteries did not last very long, which is why in that Great Exhibition, anybody who saw it, it had a push button for the viewer to press to turn the lights on. And that push button failed during the Great Exhibition, and since then the lights hadn't worked. Now the lights have been rewired via this cable here to run from a USB port, so they run just off a phone charger. Now to do that I had to wire a resistor in series with the lights and take the battery holder out, and this wire is actually wired to where the push button used to connect underneath. The idea with this was it was powered by a steam engine, so at the back here we've got like a beam engine which is scratch built from bits of plasticard, bits of, I think the beam is timber. And then we've got a few watch components to get the little gears down the side there. That's just built on the back. Then we have this little water trailer pulling behind it, which is made out of 2 thimble cases on top of a Warhammer gun carriage. Staircase is a standard component from Slater's Plastruct, along with the banister railing for it. The door up here is a standard component, as are of course the windows. The brick paper is sold for model railways. The roofing is again done with a printed paper, but this is just one that I printed off on the PC. You can do the same for the brickwork. It was only because I happened to have some of this brickwork left over that I used it. Then, I say the main construction of it is mounting cards, so like the sort of board that artists use in picture frames, and just wrapped over with the brick paper. Bottom bit's obviously the plastic kit, so that's all plastic. The base for this was purchased as without any detailing on it, as a base for a 1/18th scale model car. Then you've got static grass obviously for the grass patches on here. This is actually just sieved garden soil glued down with PVA, and then some more patches of PVA to make the marshy bits to fit with the story of this particular attraction cottage. Again, we've got the conservatory, and all the ladders and the railings are all just 1/76th scale bought components. Drain pipes are made from brass rod bent into shape, and then the joints here are just literally thin little strips of sellotape wrapped round and round before they were painted. Chimney pots are rolled paper. Big mill chimney here is just made of thin card. You can actually sort of deform it a bit, not very easily now because it's obviously been sat and hardened for 3 years, but when it was new you could. And that's just thin card wrapped over with paper and then just blackened on the end with pencil crayon. All the lead flashing is just paper coloured in with a felt tip pen. This did look more grey. In fact, it looks quite grey on the camera, but it has actually started to discolour, and that's just the effect of UV light on this thing. Yeah, so that is a model that I made quite a while ago now. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please consider subscribing. Please like the video. Then I can perhaps talk about a few more of the oddity things in my collection. Thank you very much. Bye.